So today we're taking a look at some of the new Battleship captain skills that released. And of course, Deadeye is gone now, and all your Deadeye commanders have been reset. So what do you spec to? Do you spec into the new super heavy AP shells, where you get 7.5% extra AP damage, at the cost, of course, of 25% more fire and floods? Do you spec into Swift and Silence, or do you just go for the normal tank build? In my opinion, I think you just go for the normal tank build, honestly. Swift and Silence is, in my opinion, useless on a battleship. There's only a couple scenarios where I could see it being useful, and they all have to do with competitive, where you want to push an enemy battle or your battleship around a flank, and you want to do it as quickly as possible. And of course, if you're wanting to surprise the enemy with a push around a flank, you're going to try and keep that battleship dark. And that extra speed, the 10% speed, or whatever it is, you actually can use that, right, in that scenario. But I think in random battles, you don't need that little bit of extra speed, and a little more tankiness would actually be a much bigger benefit overall, in my mind, than that extra speed. If the speed was active when you were spotted, or when you were on fire, or when you're getting shot at, or something, right? If it was active to make your ship more maneuverable while you were in danger, I could see it being quite useful, because then it would help you stay alive. But this basically will help you get into bad positions faster, and it won't help you get out of those bad positions. That's my opinion on the Swift and Silence, so I'm not actually running it on anything. And I haven't even tried it on anything, because I do think it's just that bad, especially for 4 points. Ooh, that's so many points to use up. But on to super heavy AP. This is the one I'm trying here. We're trying super heavy AP in this game. So Vermont gets over 16,000 alpha. I think it's close to 17,000 alpha per shell, which is monstrous, of course. The problem is you have to give up a lot in your build just to fit this in my opinion. You do basically have to take all of the anti-fire captain skills and modules, everything, the flags, everything. Otherwise, your fire duration is just insane if you don't take any of the fire reduction skills. So you're already then locked into using basics as survivability and fire prevention. But then you also want Adrenaline Rush, because Adrenaline Rush gives you that extra, if you're on half HP, you get 10% reload, for example. You lose 25% of your HP, you get 5% reload. And let's say that with super heavy AP shells, you're getting a 7.5% buff to your DPM, right? Because that's what the alpha is giving you. It's giving you more damage per minute. It's giving you that through alpha, not reload. Whereas Adrenaline Rush is giving you that damage per minute through reload, not alpha. So, in my mind, I do think that it's a little bit more valuable to have the extra alpha, because that's what battleships are about. They're about those one salvo, that one hit that absolutely devastates someone. So the 7.5%, I would say, is probably worth more than 7.5% on the reload. Sorry, 7.5% alpha is worth more than 7.5% on the reload. But is it worth more than 10% on the reload? Is it worth more than 15% on the reload? Is it worth so much more to have the alpha that you're willing to give up 25% extra fire and flood time? I actually don't think so. I've been playing around. I've tried Vermont. I tried Yamato. I tried Republic. I think... What else did I try? I tried Montana. These are the ships I tried. And this was one of my best games here in the Vermont. And the reason being is I didn't really have to deal with fire spammers. In most of the other games, I died very quickly, or I played too far back at the back of the map, where I didn't really get much damage. And that was the problem, is I didn't feel like my battleship could push in really at all, because the fires would just do so much damage. Even here, I camp the back of this map quite a lot. I don't push in that much. And we're only pushing now because there's a cyclone coming in, and I know I'll be safe. And because Vermont is so slow, I need to start pushing sooner to try and have that impact once the cyclone comes up. But I don't think the 7.5% alpha is worth it considering the downside. The 25% fire time is just huge. Sorry about my phone there if that showed up. It's just massive. And the main problem I've said for a long time with battleships is not the damage output, it is the survivability of a battleship. The reason battleships don't push in is because they die quickly. And when you do push in, you'll often get saddled with overpenning a cruiser, or just shattering on a battleship broadside, or missing entirely. It's not really, you're not rewarded that much for pushing in my mind. So my build is not going to include super heavy AP shells. I can understand running it. I don't think it's nearly as bad as something like Swift and Silence. And of course, getting the monstrous alpha out of these guns in the game is actually pretty fun, right? Having your Montana go up to Yamato alpha, right? That's what it does. It brings your Monty shells up to 14,500, right? Which is Yamato alpha. And that's pretty cool. On a ship like Montana, Vermont getting 17,000 alpha, Shikishima getting nearly 21,000 alpha. It's really fun to have these big numbers. But I think you're going to have more success out of having less fire time and being able to take more skills, like maybe concealment extra or an extra heal, that kind of thing with your tankiness, allowing you to push in more, get closer to the enemy, and maybe have a few higher percentage shots than just sitting at the back and hoping that your alpha will get that one salvo in at a time, right? So to talk a little more specifically about the damage output of a fire, it's if you take a full tank build on a battleship, let's say Montana, not including legendary mod, you will eat 10,000 damage, pretty much exactly, from a fire that lasts 34 seconds on your ship. And that's not very much. That's pretty good, actually, allowing you to tank for quite a long time. But as soon as you throw super heavy AP shells onto your Montana, assuming you keep this full tank build, not including legendary mod, you actually go up to 12,500 from a fire. So every fire is dealing an extra 2,500 damage. So if you eat a double fire, it's an extra 5,000 damage. And that is with a full tank build, and that gives up either Adrenaline Rush or one of Concealment, Emergency Repair Expert, or Fire Prevention. You have to give something up in order to get these heavy AP shells. So do you give up Adrenaline Rush, or do you give up your Concealment, or do you give up an extra heal? And at what point does the extra damage from a couple of fires make up an entire extra heal, right? So you heal for, let's say, 17,000-ish on a Vermont, or I think on a Montana it's closer to 20,000 because it gets that improved heal. And as soon as you eat, say, 4 or 5 fires, that extra damage starts to add up to nearly becoming a full heal that you would have saved, right? If that doesn't make sense, I'll try and explain it a little clearly. Each fire is dealing an extra 2,500 damage, maybe even closer to 5,000 damage if you're not able to take basics of survivability, because then you're dealing around 15,000 damage per fire. So 2,000 to 5,000 damage extra per fire. So you eat 4 fires, that's anywhere from 10 to 20,000 damage extra from these fires that you wouldn't have had. And that equals up to a full heal that you didn't have to use because of these fires. That's how powerful just removing the fire sooner off of your ship is. It actually saves you healing that you can use for pen damage, other things. Just keeping your ship healthier over a longer period of time, letting you tank better. And that's why I think these super heavy AP shells really aren't worth it. And if you run a full legendary mod build Montana, you still have to give up either an extra heal or Adrenaline Rush or Concealment Expert, in my mind. You got to choose one of those. And assuming you give up Adrenaline Rush and you do the full tankiness build, you get all 5 heals, you only have 15,000 or 15 kilometers of concealment because the legendary mod goes into slot 5, and that means that you're only taking 11,000 damage per fire, and you have super heavy AP shells. Without super heavy AP shells, of course, the full tank build only takes 9,000 from fires with the legendary mod. I just find that fires are one of the ways that your ship dies very quickly when you push in. So if you want to push in at all of these little things add up, right? You let a single fire burn, or a double fire gets lit after you use your damage control, or even a triple fire sometimes gets lit. That's a lot of extra damage that you're eating that you really didn't have to. It adds up. And that's why I'm not going to be running super heavy AP shells. It's fun to mess around with. It was fun to get these kind of massive, devastating salvos, right? Hit a Citadel and you do 18,000 damage in a Vermont, or 17, whatever it is. It's fun. It's hilarious. But it's still fun without super heavy AP shells to hit those Citadels anyway. They still feel like big hits. And without super heavy AP shells, I personally will be able to push in more. I won't be as afraid to eat damage, or as afraid to eat a couple fires, or as afraid to pop my damage con, knowing that I won't take as much damage from a fire spammer, for example. So I think for me, getting in closer more comfortably is going to allow me to have more fun and deal more damage in the long run. So in my mind, super heavy AP shells still not a good choice, and Swift and Silence is also not a good choice, guys. Just go for the full fire prevention, concealment, emergency repair expert, basics of survivability, and adrenaline rush. Those should be your main skills at the top end of the tree. You can basically take whatever tier 1 and 2 points you want with that. I really think that is the only-ish build for battleships at this point. If you want to run a secondary build, you know, getting rid of adrenaline rush and emergency repair expert for the secondaries can be decent. But even then, secondaries aren't that good right now. So running the full tank build on everything is still probably going to be the optimal way to do things. So thank you guys for watching. Hope you enjoyed my thoughts on these new skills. Maybe it gave you something to think about. And I hope you have a great day.